What's up, you guys? I am Soto. Today I'm coming at you with an astrology video. I'll just do a quick disclaimer because I mean most of you are probably new anyway. But I used to do makeup videos. Now I am coming back with astrology videos because that's what I'm so much more passionate about. I'm wearing these because I hope it's gonna help with the audio quality. If it doesn't, sorry, I tried. There's like a waterfall in the background. There's bugs. I'm filming outside, so that's where we're at. Lovely. So I have my book here because it just has a bunch of my astrology notes. I just literally make notes for fun. I think today I'm just going to do like an astrology 101 for my first astrology video. I feel like if you're like new to astrology, then learning the fundamentals are going to be super important anyway, so let's just get that out there. If you are new, feel free to subscribe. You don't have to. You can if you want to. I'll move along now. Okay, so the first few things that you should know about astrology is, for one, your sun sign, which is the sign that everyone like goes by, like, oh, I'm a Leo, oh, I'm Sagittarius, whatever. That's not the only sign you have. You have an entire chart. If you don't know what a birth chart is, so you need the time and place that you were born, like the exact time you slid on out of your, you know what I'm talking about. And it kind of shows you where the stars and the planets and all of that were aligned at the moment that you were born, and that gives a lot more detail than just your sun sign. Your sun sign is just your general personality, what you most identify as, that's your sun sign. But you also have a moon sign, which is also very important. Your moon sign is who you are at your core, like who you are when no one else is around, who you are at your deepest level. And then you also have your ascending sign. Your ascending sign or your rising sign, you can call it either one, is who you are like first meeting someone. So like your first impression, that's your ascending sign. Or like your mask, when you don't really know someone, that's like the kind of person that you are. We'll talk about some sun signs right now, and you can kind of use these descriptions of each sign for your moon and your rising. And if I describe something that sounds just like you, but it's not your sun sign, then look at your birth chart and it's probably your moon or your rising or something else in there. There's a lot of other signs. Those are just the top three: the sun, the moon, and the rising. I can pull your birth chart for you. Just comment down below, and I don't mind pulling a birth chart for you. I think it's really fun and I love doing it. Also, you can message me on my Instagram. I post a lot on there, and I also do like full birth chart readings. I've actually done a few for some of my coworkers, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, anyway, so I'm going to describe a few of the signs just so you can like gauge what your sun sign means and then try to apply it to your other signs. If you do already know your birth chart, your moon, your rising, whatever, you can try to apply it to that as well. So before we get into like descriptions of the different signs and stuff, each sign has an element tied to it, and each element has its own personality, we could call it that. So there's water, earth, air, and fire. Fire is more kind of the obvious description of fire, just like out in your face, probably more aggressive, at least more than the other signs, more outgoing, just like fiery spirited, you know what I mean? Water is actually going to be more like emotional. I think of water, I think of tears. So emotional, every sign that's tied with the water sign is going to be typically a little more emotional, or at least more intuitive and in tune with emotions in general. It doesn't have to mean they cry all the time, but just in tune with that kind of thing. They can feel out energy better, or more so. Yeah, they're just more susceptible to like feeling emotions and being able to empathize with other people, things like that. The air signs are like the talkers. They talk a lot. I think they're a little more witty as well. Earth signs are going to be more so level-headed, seem more calm, more logical, definitely. It's just a brief description of the different elements. So I'm going to start with Aries. So if you're in Aries, you are a fire sign. You're ruled by the planet Mars. And some descriptive words for Aries are like bold, direct, decisive, kind of egotistical, sometimes selfish, but very courageous. I know with Aries, they have a problem with differentiating between what they need and what they want. If they want something, they automatically think it's like a need, like I must have it, I must get it now. They're very, very stubborn when it comes to that stuff. But if you need something done and an Aries is down to do it, they will get it done. Like, you can count on them for sure. Next is Taurus, and Taurus are earth signs, so they're going to be a little more mellow. They are ruled by the planet Venus. Venus is like the love planet, is what I call it, the relationship planet. And Taurus are definitely more down to earth. They're loyal, they're calm, composed, they're affectionate, but they can be very stubborn, sometimes overindulgent. They really like the finer things in life. They like spending money. They sometimes seem a little dull and boring because they like to stay in their house a lot. They are pretty materialistic, but they are also very generous. Like, you can count on a Taurus to help you with something that you need. They love giving, but if they don't think that you're deserving of that, then they won't give it to you. Like, they're very like logical, pretty direct, and they're just very practical. Next is Gemini. Geminis are the air sign, so they obviously like to talk a ton. Like, if you know a Gemini, they probably talk your ear off like nonstop, constantly. They have a pretty bad rep. Like, I feel like there's two different types of Geminis. There's one Gemini who's just like crazy, like bad. Like, I'm sorry. If some of you out there are the crazy type of Gemini, I do love you, but you gotta tone it down sometimes because we can't all handle that. I'm a Virgo, I am an earth sign, and sometimes it's a little much, a little bit. There's another type of Gemini that I really, really adore, and they're just the kind that just go with the flow, like go with life. There's never a dull moment because they love talking, but they just go. They don't get as agitated as other Geminis, but you can be the judge of which Gemini you think you are. Don't let me tell you. And they're just like fun to be around. They're really silly. They like to gossip, so if you're into gossip, like, go hang out with a Gemini. The only little like problem, which I guess it could be a good thing or a bad thing, they're kind of unemotional. So when they talk to people, they don't seem like they have very much emotion in what they're talking about, or like they're very interested in the conversation if it's like a deep conversation. They're just unemotional people. They don't get as attached to emotion, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a really good thing for them because they're not as sensitive. But it can be troublesome for relationships if you're a Gemini and if you have a hard time with getting like attached or seeming detached to your partner. Next is Cancer. They're a water sign. And Cancers are a little complicated. They're a little sensitive. Okay, let's face it, they're a lot sensitive. They kind of take things to extremes sometimes. They get a little more agitated or worked up more often than some other people may, and to them it's very warranted, but to some other people it may not seem that way, so that's kind of a troublesome thing for some Cancers. But they're very, very caring people. Like, I have a good friend that's a Cancer, and she's always been called like the mom of the friend group. They kind of seem more motherly. They're very empathetic for others. They're reliable. Just don't get on their bad side because they will cut you. They will cut you. And then there's Leos. Leos are fire signs, and I'm sure right now, if you're a Leo and you're hearing me talk about this right now, you're like, yes, finally, my sign, why didn't you start with this? Leos are very confident, but they can be very loyal creatures. They seem to get pretty attached romantically and otherwise. They're just very loyal creatures to their family, to their close friends, their significant others. They're very loyal, and I love that about Leos. But they can be very vain and kind of selfish, a little bit snobby, but they're confident about it. They don't see a problem with it, so it can be a good thing for them. I wish I had some more of that confidence. I'm a Virgo. I think everything is wrong with myself, with the world, everything. So if I could have some of that Leo vibe, I would definitely take it. And then we get to Virgos. We are earth signs. We're very logical thinkers as well, but we are so analytical. Like, Virgos are the most analytical of all the signs. Like, our brain is always going like a million miles per hour. It's very, very hard to stop thinking. Like, I don't ever think we do stop thinking, ever. We come off as very calm, we're organized. Even if you're a Virgo and you're like, bitch, my room is a mess. It's more of like a chaotic organization for some of us. Like, I know for me, my room is a mess, definitely, but I know where everything is. So it's like an organized chaos. We can be very forgetful. I think that's because we're so analytical that we have so much going on in our brains that some things just get shoved out and we forget them. We get very nervous very easily and we worry a lot, which is frustrating as fuck. And now on to Libra. So Libras are air signs. They are talkative as well. Probably not as much as a Gemini, but they are little talkative creatures. And they're all about like balance. If you ever see a Libra friend in like a in between a fight with two friends, they probably won't choose sides. They'll probably just try to make both of them happy and not choose one or the other because they just like balance and they like being impartial. Libras can be very flirty. They love relationships. They love being in relationships. They love love. Like, that's their jam. They're also ruled by the planet Venus. Libras kind of tend to be indecisive and people pleasers, which can be a problem sometimes for them. They get worked up about making decisions because it's hard for them to choose one or the other. They want both and they can't have both, so that freaks them out. But Libras can be fun to be around. They're kind of charming and fun, and they'll go with pretty much whatever you want to do because they're indecisive and can't make a decision anyway. Next is Scorpio, and Scorpios are a water sign. I feel like they have a pretty bad rep too, Scorpios, like for being way too crazy, which I'll agree, y'all's a little crazy. But it's out of passion. It's not just because they're just crazy people who just want to murder everybody, because they don't. My Venus is actually in Scorpio. We'll get to that in a later episode, but if you know what that means, yeah, I'm probably really crazy in relationships. Yeah, anyway. So there are some negatives to Scorpio, which there are negatives to obviously every sign. They tend to be a little cruel. If you do them wrong, they will do you 10 times wronger. Like, they are intense people. Like, do not cross a Scorpio. I'm sure all of you already know this without even knowing anything about the signs at all. Do not cross a Scorpio. I promise you, you will not like it. They tend to be more sexual. They can be manipulative sometimes. They like getting what they want. Who doesn't like getting what they want? But they go to like extremes, you know? But they are very loyal creatures. Like, don't mess with their people, don't mess with them, and they won't do you wrong as long as you aren't doing them wrong. They're very, very loyal creatures. Like, sometimes too loyal. Now on to Sagittarius. That is another fire sign. Sagittarius, I really like a Sagittarius people just because they're super adventurous, and I wish I was more like that. Like, they are cool with impulse and going out on a whim and just having fun, living life. Like, that is Sagittarian vibe right there. Just living life, you know? They're also known as like the truth seekers of zodiac signs. They really like seeking out the truth. Like, if you are lying about something and they have a hunch that you're lying, they will not stop until they figure it out or until they make you admit it. Like, they do tend to be very like happy and joyful and fun. They can get a little philosophical on you because they have just like a different outlook on life, I feel. But they can also be a little rude and gluttonous, which we all have our problems, right? That's just Sagittarians. Next is on to Capricorns. They are another earth sign. They are very like into working for some reason. Like, literally, like going to work. They like that shit. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, they are very hardworking creatures. That is awesome. They get their paper. They're all about money. They're known as like the CEOs of the zodiac signs because they're all about that. They're all about making money, getting shit done. Like, that's a Capricorn. They can seem a little like prude sometimes though and serious, and they're kind of unsympathetic. Like, if you have a Capricorn friend, you probably hate when you like stub your toe and you start screaming in pain and they're like, bitch, get over it. You know, because that's something Capricorns would do or say. Like, you could break both of your legs off and they'd be like, bitch, I got crutches. You fine. We're going to the fair today and you're wearing crutches. Who cares? Next are Aquarians. I freaking love Aquarians because they're so just like different and out there, weird, and I love weird people. And my moon and my rising just so happen to be Aquarian. And Aquarians are an air sign. It means they talk a lot too. But their difference is they talk about a lot of weird shit, like out of this world shit. Like, they probably like aliens a lot, aka me. They're all about like equality and they're humanitarians. They're very socially aware. I feel like speaking to an Aquarian, they know what's going on at like all times. You know, they're very present in social behaviors and conversations and things like that. They do seem rather unconventional. They do things kind of a different way than you probably wouldn't. And some people that frustrates them, but others, it kind of opens their mind up. So Aquarians are really good at opening other people's minds and helping them see outside the box, because that's how Aquarians think constantly. But they do sometimes think that their thoughts and opinions are superior to others, which can get them in a little bit of trouble. They always think that their thought or opinion is like better than everyone else's and that that's what they should go with. They also sometimes seem unemotional, which can be helpful sometimes, but other times they just seem super detached, like they don't really care. And sometimes they don't, like they really just don't, which is cool for them, but maybe not for other people. They're very logical people, and they're kind of like, if there's no facts, I don't believe it. I don't care. I don't believe it. And last but certainly not least, we have Pisces. Pisces are water signs. They're very emotional creatures. They're probably the most emotional of all of the zodiac signs, I would say. They're very, very sensitive. Like, you can't say something and not offend a Pisces. So I'm sorry, Pisces, if you're watching this right now and you're offended by that. I am sorry, that's just the way you are. But they are very empathetic people. Like, if they see like a dog die, they feel that shit. They like die with the dog. Like, they feel it, you know? But they're also very intuitive. If you think something bad is about to happen and you're a Pisces, you're probably right. You're very intuitive creatures. You have to listen to your gut, because your gut is always right. Especially if you're a Pisces, it's always right. But one thing that gets Pisces in trouble sometimes, I feel, is them not being grounded. Their head is like always in the clouds. It's like their life is a movie or something. And they're always like thinking that what isn't happening is actually happening. You know what I mean? They just have their head in the clouds a lot of the time, and that makes them very like sad when whatever they thought was going to happen doesn't happen. And sometimes they tend to turn to substance abuse, alcoholism, things like that, because they want their fairy tale to be real. Damn, that just got a little deep, but it's true. If you're a Pisces and you're dealing with that, definitely try to get help with it, but also try to understand why you're going through that. They sometimes tend to get lost too, and that makes them very afraid. Lost in the sense of like, what the hell am I doing with my life? Where should I go from here? So it's really hard being a Pisces, I feel. It's a very beautiful thing because you guys are able to empathize with so many people and be intuitive, and you're very, very creative creatures, but you just have that innate feeling of being like lost. But if you use your outlets for something more creative like music or art or design or whatever, I think that would be very, very helpful for you Pisces. I love you, Pisces. Okay, so that is all of the signs. I'm just going to give you guys a couple of tips on how to use astrology in your everyday life so that it's more than just fun to like watch videos on or like hear about what your day is going to be like in your horoscope, but actually like utilizing it for your everyday life. So my first tip is try to use astrology to understand other people, like understanding why they do the things that they do, understanding it's not you, it's just the way that person is, you know? Like if you say something to someone and that wouldn't make you upset personally, but it makes them upset, try to be more understanding in that way. Like that person may be a Cancer and you may be an Aquarius. So you gotta think about that. Like that's just how they are. Some people are just more sensitive or less sensitive, or you know, vice versa. Try to just remember that. If you're looking for like help with astrology and compatibility with someone, then check the moon sign and your Venus sign. I'm going to do a whole nother video on the other planets like Mercury, Venus, Mars, all of that's really, really fun. But check Venus and Moon. Moon is your emotions, and Venus is like how you are in relationships and in love and things like that. So check those. You can see how they match up that way. It's better than checking both sun signs of you and your significant other or the person that you're looking to get with. Also, another way, if you're a mom or a dad out there and you're having troubles parenting your child, like the tactics that you're using just aren't working, try to see what sign they are. Like maybe they're an Aries. Like my daughter is an Aries and she is a fireball. She just goes wild sometimes. So I have to remember when she wants something, she really thinks that she needs it. So I have to use different tactics to talk to her about it rather than just getting frustrated and blowing up, you know? So maybe try using astrology. It might help with some parenting if you need some help there in that department. But at the end of the day, if you're checking like someone else's chart and you're like, oh, they have Gemini in this area or whatever, try not to base it off of that. Like everyone is a product of experience as well. Like it's not just about astrology. People can be different because of the experiences that they have in their life. It's not all about that. So just keep that in mind as well when you're on your astrology journey. But that is all for me. I'm sorry the lighting got so weird toward the end. The sun is like coming down right in my face, so the lighting is super, super weird. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you liked this video. I really want to continue to do more astrology videos. I love astrology so much. I'm probably going to do a podcast and start doing more readings and things like that. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. It would help get my word out there. It would be awesome. Please subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm going to make more content. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.